Nunca la décadence, yes, esa no me, esta no connect, oh, Stardust music message, boy, boy, boy. Oh yeah. Continuale do banco, teia no cabie, nem ela se dele, quando tive no ecrã. Jalousie brigou consciência, nunca adopté, adante pays comme ça, depuis mes années dans pied. On était oui jalousie, jalousie, adante pays ça va. Tiwe mapala tipita, wano tiwe mapala, tiwe jaluzi tipita, atipe yanuwa, tiwe mapala tipita.
Good afternoon, Dominica. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to the Talk on the Block. We are expecting a guest in studios. As usual, some also always have some traffic issues. And I'm going to give him a few minutes to get here. Michael Astafan writes an open letter to the Wasco. After he did some further investigation. Remember some time ago he was here? And he discovered that our rates are up by about 350%. But he will tell you more when he gets here. But in the meantime, in between time, stick around.
When you want the bed, what you do? Shop at SCN. Better than the red. Go shop at SCN. And they all compare. Shop at SCN. You get more for life. Shop at SCN. Shop at SCN. Yeah. Shop at SCN. Shop at SCN. What is that? Shop at SCN. SCN's family, customer friendly. With free locations, it's so convenient. And our prices, they are the Madam Mystery, that's where you belong. Oh, tell your mama, tell your papa, shop at SCN. Tell your son and your daughter, shop at SCN. Auntie, nan, and cousin, friend, open power, all of them. Grandma, grandpa, open neighbor, girlfriend, boyfriend, side. What? Shop at SCN. Shop at SCN. Shop at SCN. Shop at SCN. Check us out at Pottersville, High Street, and Downtown Rose. The New India Insurance Company has reopened its doors in Portsmouth, offering the same great services you get in Roseau. Motor vehicle insurance, home and business owners, fire and related perils, public liability, and so much more. Come, visit us today for insurance with a personal touch on Bay Street, Portsmouth, or call us at 445-4023. We are ready to serve you.
Yes, some passages pour nous. But if they could, they would say something like this. I like Linus Vepladu. I wanted to tell my family brought me to Linus after I died. And the way Linus took care of my body with respect and dignity, my jamais tapé West spécial à l'émotif vivant. Linus Funeral Home, 30 years of experience, professional, reliable and compassionate service. We've had 24-hour emergency service. So là, mon numéro, pas quitter un rien bas ou dire, qui est 449-1800, 275-7564, 449-2100, or the emergency number 277-1800. Ever keep it busy and Linus. That time is for you to breathe and grieve. Linus is not willing that any should die, but Zandra, you must go. So when you go, hold the best chaperone. Linus, you never know. Mama to from the si c'est pas Linus, il a venu aller you.
Our numbers are 449-1800, 449-2100, 275-7564, and 276-0400. Call Lyndhurst Funeral Home today.
As I told you, already seated, I suspect Mr. Michael Astafan was doing some investigative work there. I saw some newspaper reporting an open letter to the Wasco. Written to the general manager of the Wasco High Street. Dated August 8th, 2024. From concerned citizen Mr. Michael Astafan. From what I gather, Mr. Michael Astafan is saying that the Wasco's recent increases may have been illegal. But he will tell you more. Mr. Michael Astafan, sir, how are you? How are you? Good afternoon to you, sir.
Mark, let me say good day to you. Good day to the gentleman to my right.
Okay.
And to our listeners. And I'm very much concerned about our listeners. We're being abused, and we're so used to being abused.
You say you're concerned about the listeners?
Yes, the public, the consumers.
Okay.
They're so used to being abused that they do not know when they're being abused. Matt, we have a company. Recently, I was at the IRS, at the IRC meeting. That's last week. Matt, no consumer representative was there. No member of the political parties were there. I was there representing my interests and that of the Freedom Party. But I didn't see anybody else there, no consumer group there. There was the association, hotel association. Okay? So we have a problem in Dominica. We seem to be numb. Or according to my grandmother, sayo bayo fute, you boy. What they give you to rub, you drink it. Okay? Something is radically wrong, Matt, we wrote the Wasco, a group of us,
right,
including our attorney, on the 8th of August. We asked them within 7 days to respond, I think. No, we wrote them on July the 22nd. Remember, I was 24th, I was there.
You say yes.
And I cautioned them that they did not follow the law and that they didn't table their reports to Parliament, the audited statement and any reports. Matt, I asked them for the reports, they didn't give me. Matt, I had to go to almost 124 gazettes to see they were never tabled. It was never gazetted as being tabled. Why did they do that to me? You could have told me, well, it wasn't tabled. But I knew that the auditors always had its AGM. They used to have their annual general meeting on time. And the auditors have reported, but I cannot see the thing. The only reason I took it up is now they're asking us to pay money with an access fee. So I wrote them on the 24th of July, and I sent a copy of that to many of the media houses. And then I used My company, last 5 years, consumption, and to show that the access charge is not only illegal, unfair, unreasonable, and unjust. It is discriminatory. Okay? So what it does is, when I did that study, March, and I added, look at the bill there, I did 175 access charge to my monthly bill, which the average was 68 some dollars. It was a 350% increase. Matt, in any part of the world, if you will go up 10%, people are up in arms. Your utility bill go up 10%, they're up in arms. The Wasco is an essential body. And the Act gives the managers under Section 27 that they need to manage properly. Okay? They need to have funds in the of a disaster. Now they come in with an access levy, how you call it. And how do they know the size of the business? How do they know I'm a middle-sized business or small business or micro business? Utilities are based on what you consume. So anytime you start picking a figure,
It's across the board.
yes.
So every customer, small, medium, large.
No, you're running the company, you're not meeting the management requirements. And as a public utilities commission, you have public trust in hand. In other words, you have to utilize these people's money as efficiently as possible to give them the service. The Act tells you that you need to monitor your revenues and ensure that you can deliver the service profitably.
Right.
Okay? And you must not make excessive profits. But the Act also says that you have to account to the consumers. How do you give account to the consumers? Parliament is the people. Okay? So you have to table your audited statement to the Parliament. Now, I mentioned to you that it was not tabled. They were getting technical with me, but I had to do the research to see that they didn't do it going way back to 2016 or something like that. Okay? Now, this is a violation of the public trust given to you. If you're given to manage a company and they tell you, Section 33 says you have to have a qualified auditor. It also says that as soon as the auditor gives you a report, not when you read it and have a board meeting to discuss it, as soon as you read it, you have to take it to the minister. And the minister shall table it before Parliament. Now, you telling me you may be late for 1 year, but going way back to 2016, you haven't tabled it. That is total disrespect. Now, Parliament is the people. If they tell you, the reason why they tell the people they have to go to Parliament is a public utility, and they have to be above board. And they fail to do that. They fail to do that. So now they want money. They just come up with a plan. But they must be organized in what they're doing. They could come up with an access fee, okay, for everybody based on their consumption, and a slight increase in the rate. But the way they went about it, Matt, it is not even illegal. Because even if they had done it through the proper way, right? When the minister approve it, that don't make it law, Matt. It has to be gazetted for the fee to be effective. It has not been gazetted. I was told it was done in April. That is not so. It was never done. So we have a major problem with that. And I'm appealing to, if you notice, in the final paragraph of my letter, for Marine Enterprises. I'm appealing to Dominic, and I would, if you bear with me, I will read that final paragraph.
Okay.
Okay? We are appealing to the management and board, as well as the minister and shareholders, to do what is right and just and abandon this illegal and discriminatory charge. The said charge is unfair, unreasonable, and unjust, and may well be in violation of Section 13 of our Constitution. We hereby advise that the Wasco should immediately institute a pricing review panel comprising of a broad cross-section of its consumer base and come up with an access charge and a rate increase that would be fair, reasonable, just, and non-discriminatory. Okay? This new approach will be in the best interest of the Wasco and all Dominicans. I haven't received acknowledgement.
They have not acknowledged your letter?
No, neither one of them. The first letter I showed them where they violated the act. I read, I placed the sections of the act so they don't have to go and read it to see where they violated it. Okay? And I had a meeting with my lawyer yesterday. So, Matt, we need the people of Dominica
with the intention
need not be so passive.
I'm saying you had a meeting with your lawyer there with the intention of.
Matt, we're looking at the abuse. We're looking at the disrespect. We're looking at the betrayal of public trust. You cannot do those things to consumers. In no country you can do that. If it was in any of the other OECS countries, the minister, the Wasco, and the board would be in trouble. Okay? They would have to answer some serious questions.
I'm amazed to hear that you have not received one acknowledgement of any of the letters.
Matt, I received one or two calls when I was on your program.
Yes.
Trying to give an excuse. Well, they didn't say that. What they told me, this. Matt, this is a serious matter. You need to manage Domlec, Wasco, and there's competition in the telecom sector. So we benefit now and then from the telecom sector, the little competition. But where you have the Wasco, no matter, and that is a serious thing, because if the Wasco is not managed properly, when there's a disaster, if they don't have funds, the people will suffer. Now, what I think that they should do is to look at an access charge, because they say they cannot pay loans and they don't have money. The chairman say, if a disaster hit, they don't have money to buy parts. Chairman of the board. What kind of talk is that? Matt, if the Wasco is in trouble, let's suppose the auditing firm that I'm working with and a few auditors, accountants, engineers and so come up and they look like the Wasco is in trouble. We would recommend an access charge that we pay, where 50% will assist them in paying the loan, and the 50% will be for disaster. But they cannot touch it unless the consumers know they're touching it. It's not there for them to give any Tom, Dick, and Harry a contract. Remember the Prime Minister said, if we have a contract and you is a labor right and the other person there, you will give it to the labor right. That's not how you run a utility. There's a thing they call gold plating in a utility. You have to have competitive bidding. If the person that you give the contract overcharges, is gold plating, and you cannot burden the consumer or taxpayer with this type of cost. We're building an airport, man. No plans, no flight path, and Dominicans are just accepting it. Millions of them, we're selling passports. You don't know how many Dominicans it have, man. You know, Dominicans, they maybe have more Chinese Dominicans, more Arab Dominicans than they have Dominicans. We don't know. This thing's supposed to be online. The people, whenever we as Dominicans should put in our social security number, and have access to the website of all. And they're selling the passports, man. And those fellas making me, and they're not paying taxes in Dominica. Every person who is promoting and selling should be registered in Dominica and paying taxes and VAT. We wouldn't have no problem at the hospital for funds. Okay? But we are very passive. We're complacent, man.
The people.
Yes. And it's time that we get serious. Look, the Prime Minister was talking about making voting a criminal act. He goes to America, he gives his fingerprint. And the reason he gives his finger to know that Roosevelt Skerritt in front of me now is the same Roosevelt Skerritt that came here 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. He has no problem with that criminality of it. But if you try to ensure that a voter can only vote once, he says criminal activity.
Michael, I know that you found out, but we found out this morning on the subject you're at right now, that now the regulations are for the CBI applicants, they must provide fingerprints to obtain a Dominican passport. So what is the Prime Minister talking about? They must, the new regulation. They must.
You know, it appears that some leaders in the world tend to say anything. But in a small country, you know, everybody knows everybody. I mean, we have to be careful. We are putting the office of Prime Ministership in disrepute by making these statements. Because it tells me that he is using his qualifications to make a statement. Who advised him, man? How can a Prime Minister go on a radio? Who is his advisor to tell him, wait, Mr. Prime Minister, everywhere you go and vote these days, sometimes you put your fingerprint and your data come up for you to vote. There are different voter machines. Most of them requires eye or fingerprinting. Okay, recognition, facial recognition. So when he makes those things and he's threatening people, it begs the question, is his Attorney General advising him? And at which school he graduated in law? Who is advising him, Mr. Matt? I cannot. You see, it's embarrassing to hear my Prime Minister make that statement. Because when he goes to the US and they tell him he has to put his finger there, he wouldn't say he's not a criminal. They want to make sure he's not a criminal, have his passport. You understand? So the fingerprinting they had 10 years ago will be the same one. Say, okay, you're the partner, go ahead. No. Apparently, you remember when Tony said that it will interfere with his election legacy?
Mm-hmm.
It seems he wants people to vote 2-3 times. So that if they vote in Portsmouth, when they come Roseau, if they put their fingerprint, the machine will say, no. Okay? I don't know. But there must be a reason why he wants that. And he would have to tell us why, because, I mean, if CBI passports holders have to give fingerprint, come on.
Well, let's go back to the Wasco. What do you expect? Now they're going to send, from your law, you're going to send a letter, you have sent a letter. What kind of response do you expect there from the Wasco?
Well, the minister, the Wasco, should begin to respect consumers, and consumers should refuse to pay that amount until it is fair, reasonable, and undiscriminatory. Okay? The Wasco has not told us what they're going to use with the money. They're keeping their statements between their auditor and themselves, and they're supposed to give it to us. They're supposed to table it to the House, to the people. They have not done that. So we don't know how much loan they have. We do not know how much the government of Dominica owes them, or how much the government of Dominica owes them. Is the government of Dominica paying? when they run pipe to relocate the Wesley people, are they asking Wasco to take a loan to do that? This is if you developing land map to sell or to put people, you have to put in the water and the electricity. And that cannot be a consumer cost. So we have to get serious with them.
And we found out recently, of course, given the election that took place, the chief elections, a couple of weeks after, the Carry people were being told that now that they have to pay. Something went wrong there. They have to pay the bills that they were not paying, and they were promised free water.
Well, that is between they and their government. If the government promise you that, man, they promise me. You remember I'm a senior citizen.
Right.
When you're 60 and over, right? Free medical care. Not go to the hospital. People are struggling, man. If they don't have Pampers, they don't have medication, they're struggling there. And you will hear a nurse make a statement that is very, very questionable as to who that they will bring their medicine for because the other one can afford. 60 and over is 60 and over, whether it's a minister, a rich person, or poor person, 60 and over is 60 and over. But the government is failing in that regard. Okay? So we have a major problem with that government. And unless we replace it, and we will have problems, man. You cannot go and build an airport without plans and a financial plan. Okay? You must have an idea of how much it's going to cost, where the money coming from to pay, and whether planes will get insurance to land there, and all this kind of things. But the airport is being built. Okay? They building apartments without planning permission. The government should be setting an example. When the government builds in Barbados, in Jamaica, they building for 50 years, man. Look at, they build Baffin State, they build Puri, government projects, Jimmy, Canefield East, Canefield housing project. Matt, you ever see holes in it after 5 years? You ever see a floor of a new school in Dominica fall down or crack? Go to the college. The famous Chinese, they say, that can do good work and Dominicans lazy and that. These people should have them to give an account.
But
no,
they should have supervisors there, man.
But we have to have consultants, man.
Let's take a phone call. I suspect some people want to talk to me. Hello, yes?
Yeah, good afternoon, Matt. Okay, good afternoon, Michael.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Meantime, back at the farm, Mr. Skerritt said he's a farmer. Mr. Skerritt is living in luxury in his mansion. Or mansions. Should I say mansions? Would that be more accurate? But we know mansion for sure. So why is so much attention being paid to Mr. Skerritt? A large portion of the police force is dedicated to his security. Is that real? How much security does Mr. Skerritt need? And why is he thinking he needs so much security? Because he realizes that people are going to get fed up with his whole nonsense. He's living in the lap of luxury while people are scrunting. Mr. Skerritt once said that when the hospital was built, people from all over the Caribbean would come to it. Have you seen that happening? Not even Dominicans want to go there. The guy is just a compulsive liar. And who can trust a compulsive liar? Enough said. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon to you. Somebody's asking a question, Michael, a legitimate question, of course, given your presentation here this afternoon as it relates to the Wasco. Mr. Asifan, so what would you advise, or would you advise consumers to withhold the monies that they now owe to the Wasco?
Well, I am paying my rates on consumption, but I'm not paying the access charge. The way they went about it is
So
discriminatory.
repeat what you said.
I will pay. I'll show you. Man.
So how do you calculate that then?
No, it's on the bill. When you get your bill, it tells you, okay, there's a meter, a minimum rate and a usage, okay? And then your sewage rate, and then the water access fee, okay? I don't pay the water access fee. For my home, the water access fee is within the range of being fair and reasonable.
Okay.
It's $15. But for the company, we use less water at the company than at my home. Okay? So for the company, it's discriminatory. It's 450%. And a lot of small businesses are being shafted that way. So they need to come up with something, because Matt, $175 may not be a problem for some persons.
Mm-hmm.
But for a small business, $175 may be the flour, rice, and sugar they need to keep their little restaurant going.
On the telephone, hello, yes?
Matt, good afternoon.
Turn to you, sir.
To you and your guest.
Yes.
I'm calling for one specific reason. I heard you ask the gentleman a question about the Carib people, why they have to pay for water. And that is the answer I'm waiting to hear from him. He go all over the place and he never answered the question. Thank you.
I beg your pardon.
He said he went all over the place, but you did not answer the question specifically.
Because if the Carib territory, they're quite capable of putting in their own water supply and managing it, okay?
They're quite capable of paying their own water?
No, having their own water
supply, okay.
Supply. Because if they want a water supply, they can apply to indigenous organizations who would assist them, okay? Because they have a lot of money. The indigenous people of the Caribbean and North America, there's several projects.
They should.
Yeah, they have.
Do you think our indigenous people run along the same lines?
But
in terms of having money?
But they applied to Venezuela and they got money, but they didn't.
That was never delivered. I don't think it's a fair statement to say that they have money.
I beg your pardon. It was delivered to the government of Dominica.
I'm saying to the Carib people.
Well, yes, but the point I'm making is, first of all, if the government says that the Kalinago people should not have to pay for water, then they should not pay for it. If this Labour Party government said so, okay? If they come back on the deal, then they would have to sit down. That's not the way you do it. You have to sit with the people and say, we, offer that, and we can no longer do it for the following reasons, and we want to have a new arrangement. But if the Kalinago chief has an agreement with the government to that effect, then they should defend their rights.
On the telephone, hello, yes.
Matt.
Yes, you're back.
I know for sure that there have been such projects for water supply in different parts of the territory. And when the Wasco came on the scene, with the promise of free water, they discouraged them from maintaining those systems. And those systems, most of them have fallen by the wayside. It is a little bit deceptive that they told those people that they would get free water, and they caused them not to maintain the supplies that they had established in the first place. I believe that is the situation, Matt. Over.
There was an Alan Paul from New Zealand working for Save the Children under Gregoire, our ambassador Gregoire. He was the head of... And they put in some water projects and they had some difficulties. Okay, they had some difficulties where the pipes would disappear and they would make trinklets out of them because it interfered with the normal cutting of the people. So the young boys cut the pipe because the girls were not going to the river again to bathe and wash clothes. So that is what Alan told me. He was the Save the Children person there at the time. All right. So I know that they put in, so there's money available from different organizations to assist. Okay. And if you want to do a major project and it's going to be a venture that is profitable, I know you could apply to the indigenous group in North America and you'll get assistance.
Hello. On the telephone, yes?
Yes, Mr. Peltier. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you,
Mr.
sir.
Astafan, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
And I admire your tenacity to stand up and speak truth to power. Matt, I just called to correct something what he just said. The people were given the money by Chavez, and it was never turned to the people. It was never given to the people. And don't forget, he started by saying that we are too passive. You see? And this is where the problem is. What he's saying that the money belongs to the people, was given by the people, and they would have more than enough to build their own water supply. And the people must now stand. What he's saying in general, the people of Dominica, not just the Kalinago people, are too passive. They must stand up and do what is right and stand up and take or demand what is correctly theirs and not be scapegoated by some thieves stealing passport money and doing all these things. The same thing with what he's talking about, the water problem. They deceived him by not telling him that it wasn't gazetted. So, like I've always tell you about the deception of this government, they rule by deception, deceive, deny. You know, the whole thing is bad governance, and they are not governing. They are a bunch of criminals stealing every penny, anything that is not brought down, that cannot stand the island, even to the land from under the people's feet. And what he's saying, it's the people, man. The people, if the Kalinago people want their own water supply tomorrow and they stand up and everybody go downtown, this like just my sister, what's her name, Annette Sanford, said she's going to try get the money. But she will not be able to get the money only herself or writing to no one. The people must stand up, and the people must stand up in numbers. It's about time the people stand up and find who they are, because they are lost. And he's correct in that, 100%. Mr. Atafan, thank you for speaking up and doing what you did, because it shows the deception in the water companies. It will expose the deception in the electric company. It expose everything. Like he mentioned, we don't know how many Chinese are Dominicans. You might have more Chinese Dominicans than Dominican, because these guys never let the people know. And the people make no demand because it's mad. Mad, I don't have power. Mad, who's going down to the mad? People must stand up and move in unison, in numbers, because there is effectiveness in numbers. When you stand up, all that threat he just made in the parliament to people last week means nothing. Because when the people stand up, they're more than 30 security officers. They're more than 300 police officers. Yes, somebody might lose their life. Look over there in Bangladesh. Some of the students who run that government out today, some of them are ministers in what you call a temporary government. You know, so the people is the answer to the problem, Matt. Thank you very much, Mr. Safan. Thanks again.
Apparently, based on this point there, it appears that the people are afraid, fearful.
Matt, if you're given to run a company and the access, the company shall so exercise and perform its function as to ensure that its revenues are not less than sufficient to pay compensation when required, to cover operating expenses, including taxes, if any, meet periodic payments on long-term indebtedness, create reserves for purposes of future expansion, and sums required for any purpose of the company shall meet out of the funds and resources of the company. You know, it tells them that because the reason why the act tells them so, you cannot go to the consumer for 20-30% increase. So continuously on a year-to-year basis, you look at it. So if you see the money that you're making is going to be short, you notify them and you give them a small increase. But you cannot let everything go haywire and then throw a 300% on them. Matt, in utilities, you don't do that. And if you attempt to do it as a utility company, you will end up with a pushback. Because you do not know, not all consumers can come up with $100.
Or even the $15.
Right. Or even the $15.
Hello, talk to me, yes?
Yes, Matt. You know, you jogging my memory. Michael is jogging my memory. Can you recall that famous statement in 2000 by deceased Barry? Moi bazot glow Barry. And what did the Kalinago people do? They crooked deceased Barry. So that's what is happening. Nothing surprises me anymore. Mr. Barry brought water to the Kalinago territory and showed no appreciation, and they fired him on top of that.
You mean saying they showed no appreciation? They? Okay. All right, hello, talk to me, 4493. The Kalinago people will have to defend that one. Then 151, hello, yeah?
Love, life, light, enjoy. Mr. Pelter, blessings to you, sir.
Blessings to you.
Michael Astafans, blessings to you, sir.
Blessings to you too, my brother.
Blessings, my brother. Matt, you remember last week when I tell you about it was gratitude morning or gratitude day, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Sometime last week. So people like Michael Astafans, Afi Martin, Arundel Thomas, Dr. Francis Severin, the late Dr. Clinton Shillingford, and many, many others, Matt. Many Gabriel Christian. And Matt, these are the brains that try to wake us up in Dominica. Matt, how many events cast the shadows before them? Now the shadows are upon, the events are upon us. Our problem is in Dominica. We are preoccupied looking for the shadows. Matt, you remember the go to hell is not your damn business.
Mm-hmm.
No law, not even the Constitution. To pull bullshit. You know, all kind of nastiness. Dominicans are we're still awaiting and are still waiting for the monster or the emperor to remove all its clothes. But all the time the emperor running with no clothes, Matt. And when people like Michael is saying he went there and there were no serious stakeholders there. That's what I heard you said, Michael.
At the IRC meeting.
With the hoteliers and maybe other consumers and whatever, and Michael alone go there like as if, well, you know, everybody else hoping that Michael succeed. Everybody hoping that Michael succeed because they heard Michael will be there. Matt, long time it was a collective effort in our forward movement, in our resistance, in our education, in our protestation. Now it takes one man, always one man. And I keep saying that leadership is plural, is not singular. And everybody looking for a savior, a sacrificial lamb. So let it be Michael in that circumstance. So Matt, it is sickening and it is sad to see a man show you he's governing an organization of criminals and crooks and thieves and lawless people. And we still hoping that was not the case when it was taking place, and it's taking place right in front of our eyes. So I have to commend Michael Hidley and everybody else that have tried, Matt Pelkey, all who have tried, Sheridan Grego and them, everybody trying. Dr. Irvin Andre, I mentioned his name. So, Matt, it is sad of people who can be that hard-headed or that stubborn or that...
So Blessings, what do you think is wrong with the people?
Matt, maybe it's in the water. For years, they're talking about the high chlorinated water. Maybe it's in the damn water, Matt. Or maybe there is just no head on the body where leadership is concerned. So every little Michael and the others in fragmentation because they haven't got an organization. So the people are not listening to them. The people need Matt, can you resurrect Rosie Douglas, Matt? Have a blessed day, sir.
Have a blessed day too. 449-3095. Back to the overseas line. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Yeah, Matt. Good afternoon, Michael.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
Matt, a call about Michael and the Kalinago thing and Matt, Michael is right, 100%. Matt, let me tell you, man, Kalinago, the reserve is a sovereign state, basically in Dominica, The amount of money that's available to indigenous people globally is more money than Dominica can get free any day. It's bad leadership that has been in the Kalinago area. Bad leadership. That place was contacted. The last leader, that joker that Skerrit installed in there, was contacted about solar for the community, about water for the community. Connections were made, and this joker did not reply because of politics. You're going to see a difference in the Kalinago Reserve because right now we have somebody there that's willing to listen and is intelligent enough to make the connections and finding money. There's money out there for Kalinago people. Practically every university in the world, there's free scholarships for indigenous people. So what Michael is telling you is totally correct. There's no need for the Kalinago to depend on Dominica for their water supply. With right leadership, they can find the resources to build their water supply. And as regard to that company, bro, what Dominicans have to do, we was talking about going out in the street, start with your bills. Stop pay Domlek. Let's see how much they can disconnect.
You mean Wasco? Or not? Are you talking Domlek or Wasco? Which one?
All of them across the board. It's injustice in these rates in the country. You look at them and put on the board in Signal. Cecil Joseph, this one, that. Not one of these people they know anything about the about. You know what I mean? There's not going to be better. There's not going to be better. And the only way we can get better in services is for Dominican people to decide, we're not paying no bill unless we get better services. There's no other way. And Michael is correct, 100%. 100%.
All right, so this caller is saying, we should stop paying the bills.
Well, that is, if all of us decide not to pay the bill, they must come to the table. If we mobilize the consumers and tell them they should not pay for the following reasons: unfair, it's illegal,
at least for a month,
and it's discriminatory.
At least for a month. Try it.
That will choke them. But I don't want that for the Wasco. So they have to be reasonable. They do not want people to come and demonstrate and then to take that measure. The Wasco is our company, Matt. But they're not telling us what they're doing with our money. The shareholders believe because we elect them to be there, they can do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot do that. They must have some respect for the people. Like, I listened to one of the tapes you played this morning where the Prime Minister said that he and Parliament will decide. He cannot decide. The law is clear. The law is clear. Nobody should try to influence what they're doing. Okay? And unless we take that matter, Matt, the Kalinago people, let's go back to the Kalinago people. Matt, there was a Indian tribe in the US who found a treaty that they signed with the Crown, England, and they went to court. Because all the land that the government been giving away is theirs. They have a title and an agreement. And the people have to come to the table. Okay? If Annette can find somewhere in England whatever agreement the British had with the Kalinago people, it tells them what land is theirs. And if anybody occupying it, they have legal rights to it. Just to show that people do things without following the rule of law. Okay? They put them in a reserve. They treat them in a particular way. But if, for instance, that there was a treaty or an agreement signed between a Carib chief and the UK Crown, unless there's an agreement following that, to supersede it was changed and whatnot, they have legal recourse.
Let's take a break. We'll come back.
Everything in life that live and breathe need air and water. Millions of gallons flowing daily to the sea. In the abundance of water in Dominica, we should just be paying a maintenance fee. Utility companies here too quick to punish the suffering public. If you can't pay your water bill on time, you will die thirsty or living stinking in your water. Water, water, water. Water is life. Who control the water decide who lives and who dies. You can cut my food, you can cut my light, but when you touch my water, you threaten my life. No one should be without water in this river land of Dominica. I have a against mapping and digital. I bash it with tongue, leg and flow, but I'm mad and I vex and I tired. We go Wasco. Yes, to Wasco.
2:01 in the afternoon. Hello. Good afternoon. Yes.
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to Michael.
Good afternoon, sir.
Matt, I didn't hear Michael tell me good afternoon back.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Okay. Michael, I just want to make sure you're there, my brother. Michael, good effort. We always have to commend those types of efforts when people like you decide, okay, well, we're going to take on the establishment for injustices. And that is really commendable. But one of the things that I'm thinking as I'm listening to the discussion and noticing how Wasco is strapped for cash and is desperate to generate income. Isn't water, fresh water in demand, the demand for fresh water around the world? Isn't that increasing?
I've heard that many a times that water will be the next gold.
Well,
exactly. So that is why Matt and Michael, I'm very surprised that for the past 10, 15 years that Wasco has not considered moving into export of waters or even setting up lines to Antigua and the neighboring Caribbean countries where water is in demand to start to sell water and to create more revenue, even going to water bottling instead of having us importing all of those bottled waters from all different sources that are not even up to our standard that we have in Dominica. And Wasco should be thinking heavily or moving in that direction instead of coming to fight with the populace for bills to try to squeeze out taxes from them. And in going into those investments, you could put the country in a situation whereby water is free. Based on what Dice is singing, water is free. But what we see in there is incompetence, laziness, lack of creativity, and just pure negligence with respect to the management of our economy and our institutions. And right now, they in need of cash. So the quickest and most creative thing that they can come about is put a new tax and call it a name. They call it access charge, and they cannot even justify what is really the access that you're paying. Because as Michael is indicating there, here it is, you're charging a business $100 and how much dollars for access charge, which is more than the water that the business consumes. You're not making any sense. You know what I'm saying? So these things, we need to really address those things. Right now, we see the need for organizations like CAHO, so probably, Matt, I suspect there's an opportunity for my friend Mr. Cooper to revive that very important organization so that we can have representation for the consumers on a broad level. Thanks a lot, Matt, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Matt, let me just address something that he just said there. A lot of the Caribbean countries have difficulties with water. But their government and the people is like food security, right? You want to grow what you eat, and in times of war, you will survive. Since water is so essential, they want to find a solution themselves. They cannot trust a reliable supplier for something that they need. So in the interim, if they short, they will use you, and that you cannot go and invest too much in that for that reason. Unless in CARICOM, we become one country, and one country has responsibility to give everybody water. But we have the cruise ship, and we should be able to find out something that will meet the requirements. One of the concerns that we have is where we get in water, it has to be quality water, that it wouldn't have anything that will interfere with the use of the water. But I think that these things have to be explored. But in terms of in the Caribbean, you have all these islands that do not have water. And if somebody can set up a distribution system and make it work, then that's not a problem. I remember about 20 years ago, there was a tanker coming in every week going to Anguilla. Okay? So,
you can cut my lines, but when you touch my water, you threaten my life. No one should be without water in this river land of Dominica. I have a thing against mapping and digital. I bash it with tongue, leg and flow. Blue mad and she vexed and she tired. We towards go. Yes, towards go. One today.
Okay, let's go back to the telephone. Yes, good afternoon to you. Yes?
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Peltier. Good afternoon to Michael, and thank you for taking my call. Sorry about the phone tag earlier today.
Good afternoon again.
Good. Well, let me first of all compliment Michael for taking such a very important topic to the media and raising awareness of what's happening in Dominica. We have a situation where laws have been put in place or things go into motion without the proper procedure. And I think Michael has a very strong case. And a guy like Michael, he has served on other utility boards in Dominica. So he has a lot of experience in that area, and I really want to compliment him for doing that. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to bring that to light to the general public in Dominica. But you see, Matt, when we have people in government who are very incompetent, they know what to do, and want to raise revenue, these guys are looking for every kind of way to pinch the poor Mallory in Dominica. And it only makes sense to me why the Prime Minister gave up the position as Minister for Finance, because he cannot do math. He cannot do math. In relation to the Wasco and all these issues, electoral reform, all what's going on, if someone can tell you as a Prime Minister, a fisherman tells you he's making $45,000 a day, and you cannot even do grade 5 math to realize for you to make $45,000 a day, you must be able to bring in 4,500 pounds of fish at $10 a pound of fish. And I don't think a pound of fish is $10. Matthew from Point Michel. I'm from Scottsdale. I know Soufriere, Scottsdale, Point Michel. Big fishing communities like some areas in Maro, Fort Curley. I mean, you can go as far as Sansove and look at just not one fisherman in Dominica who had a vessel that can bring 4,500 pounds of fish in a day for that ship, for that boat not to sink. That is over 2 tons of fish. So if a man cannot even do the math by adding a zero, I mean, $45,000, if you multiply that by $10 a pound, you have to bring 4,500 pounds of fish to do that. So if the man cannot do that, imagine how we can come up with strategies, ways to implement the Wasco to be more successful. So, I mean, Mr. Boston made a comment on your program last week, and he should take that advice from Mr. Boston while he's alive for him to ask for forgiveness, to repent while he have time. I think that's a great recommendation by Mr. Boston.
You saying he should repent? Is that what you say?
You should repent while he's alive. And I want to send a message to him because he calls me and he called me from a number where I can call him back. As a friend, my friend, I'm going to call you for the first time in a long time. I will call you how we used to call you as buddies when we were in the YFM together. Rosie, let me tell you this. The mistake, we all make mistakes in life. And as a friend, you need to check yourself. I am very concerned about you as a leader in the Caribbean. For you to tell me, you do not even think of somebody telling you they're making $45,000 a day and did not do a quick map or ask the person how much pounds of fish is that. I'm very serious. As a friend, check yourself. You really need to check yourself and be honest. And this is all the reason why I can't run for you in Sophia, because I cannot put myself involved in those kind of behavior. Somebody need to understand. I mean, those members in parliament, did they ever thought about doing the math on what is $45,000 a day? Even the president of the Commonwealth of Dominica, even if her husband was a fisherman, her salary together with the amount of money he make a fish cannot come to $45,000 a day. And even if a fisherman go out, he might be out there for 2, 3, 4, 5 days. That's still not one day. So imagine the Wasco simple math. I have made recommendation to Wasco. Mr. Tinoff is Wasco general manager. I give him a lot of credit for taking all the pressure on the work he's doing. But what Michael is bringing up is a very serious matter. What next? Is Domlec going to do the same thing that Wasco is doing? I have made recommendation to those guys. Mr. Perte, we have a multi-billion-dollar business right in Wasco, right in Dominica. I think I'm not sure if it was during the Freedom Party government or during the UWP government when they set up that Baytown, that stuff in Baytown there, where they're collecting the waste in the city. I've told them, if they do this right, my company is willing to give free labor and technology to help them collect the waste, to treat it with certain probiotics like Bacillus amalgicofascioni, Bacillus like an informers and subtilis. These are probiotic Bacillus that is good for soil, where we can treat the waste, bring it up to land, and then extract all the solids from there, treat it, and we can have natural fertilizer in Dominica.
And you said you have suggested that to them or recommended that to them?
I have recommended that to them, and even my friend was the former Minister of Agriculture. He was agriculture for a little bit of time, the guy from Cottage. And my good friend, I call him a friend, Johnson Drygo, when he was Minister of Agriculture, I made those recommendations to them. Dr. Reginald Thomas can tell you all these things about probiotics. We have talked to them. Today, good for Dr. Thomas that he's in Texas Caicos now as a highly respected chief vet officer. Those guys do not understand how to tie agriculture with technology. Mr. Perte, I did this number before I get hold of you. I am telling you, if you go to the Central Statistics Office in the Commonwealth of Dominica and you go to Customs and you get this information, you'll be shocked how much millions of dollars of fertilizer we are importing into the Commonwealth of Dominica. And what is even more alarming, millions of dollars of fertile soil, of topsoil, we are importing into Dominica. Though Wasco has a multi-million-dollar business right in their hand by collecting all those wastes as far as south as Point Michel, all the way to the West Coast. They can gather them all and then treat it with those bacillus strains I'm talking about. This is natural fertilizer. Another thing the Wasco can do to raise money, they can work with the Mutual of Agriculture. They can collect all these leaves and all these mango peels and banana peels from restaurants, bring them to a location. You can treat them, and here you can have composting. That's another multi-million-dollar business. And Mr. Perte, it's a good thing things happen that way, that you had the opportunity to come to see a facility here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to have a first hand of the kind of work we do. I am not saying something that is impossible. We are doing it right now for the city of Milwaukee. We are doing it right now for the city of Ontario in Canada. We are doing it right now for about 4 countries in South America. This is very possible. The Wasco need to think outside the box, but the Prime Minister himself, no one they have to give up the Ministry of Finance, because if he cannot do basic math on $45,000 a day equals to 4,500 pounds of fish at $10, it makes sense to me why he's going to Parliament and talking all this foolishness, and the people there in his cabinet are clapping and not even realizing what they're saying. No wonder one member said, that is to show you how lie these people are. It is time that Dominica can rise and do what is best for Dominica. And some of those political parties and political leaders who is sitting there not doing nothing, want to be like soccer boy and soccer girls, need to suck it up and put your foot on the ground.
For some reason, I lost it, but very, very important points there. Huh? Yes, are you saying, Michael?
Let me tell you.
Yes.
He talking about the fish, but to manage that fish on the sea, you need at least 6 people on the boat.
But
so their weight.
we have no boat that carry that capacity. That's his point.
What about the people to manage that fish? That amount of fish, you can't just have one fisherman managing that or 2 fishermen on a boat.
For some reason, I lost Jeff. Jeff, if you have to call back, 449-3095. But very significant point in terms of what the Wasco can do to have extra income.
But a gentleman was listening to that very statement live. And he said, wait a minute. My boy have to show he have a doctor in Starboy of stupidity. Just listening to him. That's what the man said. My boy have to show the public that he is now qualified in Starboy of stupidity.
Let's take another phone call. Are you there, caller? Yes?
Yeah, Matt, I'm here listening to he's going to be on Expire.
He's going to
be a rep, Matt.
He's going to be your Apal rep. I guess you'll decide that you're from the constituency.
But Matt, he said he already serving as a Apal rep. You don't listen to Jeff. Jeff, send your cousin a text, please. Matt, I call you because I gave you a promise. I told you in 2 days, I'm not distracting your program. I told I'll get back to you in 2 days, but in 27 hours, I get it back to you. Matt, because I already planned to go to the United States with my entire family next month, I will not be able to come to Dominica to do what I told you that we need to do. But however, I can contribute $550 so you could get gas, man, and go around and speak to them pastors, ask them what's their take on the electoral reform for me, please.
Okay.
If that is possible, let me know.
All right, we'll talk about that. Thank you. All right, we'll talk about that, my brother. Hello, talk to me on the telephone, 216, yes. Yes.
Roosevelt Skerritt, a seasoned politician, supposedly, I hear people sometimes saying the best politician in the region. You hear people giving those accolades. But Roosevelt Skerritt, how dare him make those kind of statements and those kind of policies? I mean, it's just so crazy. He stands in Parliament and what does he say? A guy told me. He doesn't say a fisherman, Matt. A guy told me. Matt, if you were the Prime Minister, shouldn't you be referring to your fisheries division to get that kind of data from it? Real data? The fisheries division has informed me that the average fisherman makes X amount of dollars. This is how a prime minister should probably be sounding. He's quoting from an authoritative source where he's getting his information from. Instead of a guy told me he made 45. But when you think about that, and then you have Mr. Blackmore again in Parliament talking about fish hitting him on his head and inviting people to come down by the bay and get hit by a fish in the head. And at the end of his speech, he says, that is a fact. At the end he actually says, that is a fact. He's not saying he's joking that. He says it's a fact that fish are jumping and hitting people on the head in Mao. Matt, how far down has our parliament become? Good afternoon.
A big show. On the 2:17 is the afternoon time. Hello, Michael Astafan is still in the house. Yes?
Good afternoon, madam. Good afternoon to Mr. Astafan, Michael.
Good afternoon.
Isaac Baptiste here. Matt, let me thank Mr. Astafan for coming on the air to speak to the issue of this water access. I think he's well qualified to speak to it. You can hear me?
So he can hear you, yes.
Yeah. He's well qualified to speak to it, having served on various utility boards in Dominica. But the question of that water access is very serious. And I'm hoping that the business sector representatives as an association will take it up with the Wasco, because I personally have done so. One would have thought that the Wasco is seeking financing or raising revenue or whatever, and it would give you the long-term development objectives of that measure. Is it so that they can invest in water, so they can export bottling of water and other things that they can do to, develop the water sector in Dominica? Nothing is said about that. But most importantly, the question of the levy. I went to the Wasco and I said to them, hey, I'm paying $150 for my office. How did you all come up with that figure? They're saying to me, well, it's based on income. I said, the income of the business. I said, who gave you the information? Did you? Nobody contacted me. So how did you get to categorize me at a certain income bracket? My business. Did you talk to the Inland Revenue Department? No. Did you speak to Social Security? No. Did you speak to the bank? No. So how did you arrive at the numbers? And the numbers that you are giving me is nowhere close to the income I'm generating in my business. And furthermore, when I give them the address, this business that I'm in is not what they have on their record. I mean, how can you do something like this? So I said to them, okay, I went and I wrote to them and I'm waiting for their response and give them a deadline to refund my money that they have taken from, I've paid on that in that area. But most importantly, one would have thought that the Wasco so often tell people, well, conserve water, do this, do that to reduce consumption. So if they are going to put in a measure, you would expect them to tie it to encouraging people to reduce consumption, avoid waste, etc. So rather than talking about relating it to some income range, you would relate it to consumption level. So, for example, if I am consuming between 0 and 10,000 gallons per month or so, you pay a certain rate. From 10,001 and so on, you pay a certain rate. And even be more creative and said, hey, if you can bring down your consumption level to a certain percentage, say 10% over the year, you will get a credit, so that you are encouraging persons who are consuming water to be conservative, to avoid waste, and therefore less demand on the system of the Wasco. But it's a lazy man measure. You can see it's just a way to make money. You don't know what they're going to use the money for. The approach to it is not encouraging or facilitating development of the sector. And at the same time, the information that they are using to charge people is absolutely wrong and incorrect. So I have written to them. I have given them a time within which to refund me my money that they have taken, and that I'm calling on the Wasco. I would assume that you guys are professionals in there, and talk to people that are in a position to advise and facilitate your decision making, so that you can become more creative and more sensitive to the issue as to this water access that you are putting on. Lastly, Matt, I would like to, the idea about the Kalinago people can access the funds out there. I'm confident that with the new CARB chief here, Annette Sanford, she has shown that she has the capacity to raise funds for the development of the Kalinago territory, relying on her.
But I hope she will not get pushback from the government.
I hope so, because you saw what happened to Daniel Uge trying to access funds to develop the Lindo Park. And you and other people try to get, while they're asking you and telling you what are you doing to develop your community, when you try to do something and bring in the revenue, they find a way to block it. And more reason why all the reasonable people that care about this country, is no hatred towards Kerry or anybody, would seek to have this administration out of office, because they are not serving the needs of the country. Good afternoon.
All right, well, given my experience, when you have to bring funds in, you need the blessings of the government.
The last caller raised a very pertinent issue.
Mm-hmm.
It would appear that the members of the board, the shareholders, looked at the shortfall of Domlec, and how they can do that. They just come up with a figure, and they look at, well, if we make big businesses pay that X amount of businesses, that they will find that money. But that's not how you run a utility.
I'm looking at the board. I am not seeing any quote-unquote professionals there.
But they should have a requirement that some people
at least one engineer.
First of all, you have to understand consumer protection. You must have an auditor, accountant.
Yes.
You may need a lawyer there. You may also need engineers there. Okay? And if you have a hydrologist and a water specialist. But what I see they have there, Matt, is a job for the boys. Okay?
I'm seeing the names Louis Patrick Hill, Ronald Charles, Dr. Steve John, Joan Lancelot, Batilia Bethel, Rosette Lawrence Coffey, Mara St. Rose. So it appears, I'm not saying everybody is, but as you said, maybe job for the boys.
Yeah, but Matt, the access charge tells me that the people who came up with it, they didn't tell you who are the shareholders. I think the FS the PS landlord, the minister.
You said the shareholders?
The shareholders. They have shareholders, you know, man. The Domlec, I understand, the Prime Minister, the FS, the PS of Communication and Works, and...
For Domlec?
No, for Emil Lancelot's son. What's his name? Lancelot.
Yeah, he's
okay, right.
I think he's
the
chief
PS.
technical officer.
Right, no, he's the PS.
PS now, yes.
Acting PS. Okay? So I understand that these people represent the shareholders, which is us. But you cannot be appointing a board, you there, who is representing the interests of the consumer. They expect the consumer to fat out the money whenever they do their mismanagement and put people who are not qualified to manage the board. I mean, it's important that we recognize that we have bright people in Dominica and young people and give them an opportunity
So
to do a proper job.
why do we put people who are not qualified, quote unquote, on boards in Dominica?
Because they can come back and give you a story. And they can come and tell you this, that, and the other. That is, you see, when you have leaders who are very immature and weak, okay, they look for that type of thing to give them, make them feel important, okay? Because I listened to the Prime Minister this morning and talk like mobilize him to do what? With electoral reform, if he doesn't do it right, we have no choice but to get the courts to stop him. So he must stop that nonsense.
On the telephone, hello, talk to me, yes?
Yes. Thank you, Matt, for taking my call.
All right, good.
Mr. Astafans is totally right about the system of corruption in Dominica politics and inside the private institution. Let me tell you something. Dominica is a outlaw country. It's a wild, wild west country. And the devil cannot correct sin. Hey, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. You steal, I will steal too. If you expose my business, I will expose yours. And that's what's going on. Let me tell you something, man. It's that happening into the banking institution, right? Into the telecommunication institution. All this in the healthcare, in the justice system, man. It's just a corrupt society we are living in. And how it's going to get changed? Only God alone that knows. Because everybody in the big institution, man, is corrupt to the teeth. You hear me? So we're dealing with a wild, wild west country right now where nobody there to oversee the institution and to oversee what the government is doing to the people of Dominica and what the institutions and them are doing. The communication system, the healthcare system, the justice system, the banking system. You go there, everybody telling you a different thing. No one has a concrete formula like everybody should follow. Everybody just do what the hell they want in this country. So this is what we're facing, and Dominicans, we are facing. We're going to suffer. The Lord knows. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. More telephone calls on the radio. It's 228, yes.
My friends, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you.
And good afternoon to Michael. The name is Bill on Packet. My friends, do we have consumer protection laws on the island?
Do we have
consumer protection legislation on the island?
I'm not too sure, but I've heard that there's a consumer a committee speaking to that. In terms of laws, I'm not too sure about that.
We don't have a consumer protection legislation on the island. We don't have that yet. I have been advocating, but I remember sometimes 1 or 2 years ago, Nathan or Martin, whatever the name was, the Ministry of Trade came up with a plan to formulate legislation for consumer protection laws, and we haven't had that yet. And if we had that, then that would show the right of a consumer, the right of the folks, the utility company,
and so forth and so forth. But when you have a problem with a utility company, your only choice is a lawyer. So you as a consumer, you just have absolutely no right. And I was telling you, for example, quickly, if you were or you are to buy something in a store, to bring it back, to return it back, you have problems. You don't get your money on time, or they don't refund you, they hold your money. All these things we need to look after, and to formulate laws for consumer protection. Because what I can do is, matter, you never know where the chicken falls. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too. It's 2:29. Yes, we're gonna come back. Yes.
I was thinking of engaging
The caller. The caller. Okay.
Because there's a Public Utilities Act. While it's not for consumer protection in its entity, okay, which used to deal with rates and regulation of water, sewage, and telecoms, okay? But since then, they have the IRC, which took the Wasco, not the Wasco, took Domlec out of it. And then they have the ECTEL, which is the telecom regulator, took it out. Okay? The Wasco now is not being regulated. There's no Public Utilities Commission. But in the act of the Wasco, if you have a problem, you can write the Public Utilities Commission to seek redress. But when I went, there's no Public Utilities Commission. Just like the IRC, they did not have a board. I think they put in a board together right now while we speak. So it means that things are on remote control, man. Things are on remote control. And that is a serious thing, because with all this load shedding and recent purchase of Domlec by the bank, and the auditors not doing the audit in a way that will tell the people what is the position of their, what you call, related parties, government. And they fail to give an account of government in their report, the last report. And I understand 2023 was the same, 2022 was the same. So we have a major problem, and I'm appealing to the chairman of the board, okay, to ensure that his auditors give the related parties data. How much money does the government of Dominica owe Domlec? Okay, what is the situation with the government of Dominica in terms of Domlec? Okay, and these sort of things, it is not there. So these things have to be dealt with. Okay, and the IRC need to ensure that in all all producers of electricity, okay, their auditors give an account of the related parties. You cannot just have a government holding control in it. I have the copy of St. Lucia, Matt. The government of St. Lucia has 10% interest in Lucilec. However, there's a section dealing with, a 2-page section dealing with related parties and the government of St. Lucia. I don't have the document with me right now, but that is something that we need to ensure that the auditor and Domlec gives us that information, because we do not know how many millions of dollars the government of Dominica owns Domlec, and now they come into us with an access charge. So that may well be a serious problem, man, that the government of Dominica may be owing the Wasco millions of dollars, and they cannot pay, so they come into us with an access charge.
So it's an escape
No,
route?
but the auditor failed to give an account in Domlec. So we want to know,
For the year or just for a couple of years?
well, I understand last year and this year, the position of the related parties. You know, people with shares in Domlec and paying Domlecs for services, you must give an account, man, because I could be a controlling shareholder of a company and I have people working at my home doing things for me that is not related to bringing money for Domlec. You understand? So these things you have to keep an account. Or I may be supplying Domlec with poles, right? And I'm consuming with Domlec. So if I'm a major supplier of poles and wire with Domlec, I might be a related partner if I'm a shareholder. If I'm a shareholder and I'm supplying them with poles, are they giving it to me because I'm a shareholder? Or am I giving value for money? I'm not gold plating. And when they buy from me, they save money. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So it's important. I remember when I was on the board of Domlec, I won a tender for post and wire. And I spoke to the chairman, called me and told me I won the tender. After I thought about it, I said, Michael, no matter whether I give them the best price that they have, they will say I'm on the board. So look, the partner. So I call back the chairman and I tell him, give it to the next person. But the next person, company, was a minister, but he didn't do that. He didn't do that. But I did that because no matter what, how good a deal I give them, they will say, look, Michael, they are Mr. on the board and it's job for the boys and money for the boys. So I recognized there was a conflict of interest and I gave it up. But the next person in line, the company that got it, he was a minister.
Let's take a few phone calls. Hello, talk to me. Yes, a lot of. Sorry about that. 449-3095, 449-3096, and 449-3097, 616-4257. You can call right now. I suspect, I've been ignoring you for the past few minutes, but you can give me a call. You can take a break and do this. Hello, talk to me. Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon. Yes.
And listeners at home and abroad. I want to commend Michael for being with you this afternoon because we have to look into our utility companies and see how well they serve the customers. And they have to be also, the Wasco have to be very innovative and creative to see whether we could, with all the opportunities that is available in the region for water, or we could tap into that so we could give the customers an ease up in terms of bringing new rates to put an additional burden on customers who are already burdened with the cost of living here in Dominica. The other thing I understood that the government owes quite a lot to Wasco and Domlec. I think they need to pay up because, they too are consumers, and if they're consuming the services, they have to pay up so the utility companies can be able to meet their demands because they too have demands in terms of wages and material and so forth. But I think Michael is very well experienced in speaking on these matters. I want to commend him highly for that. And the caller call, I think it was Jeff, who made reference to the Betong area. It was the Freedom Party who moved the people there. And I remembered when they moved the people there, Babs Dyer was Minister of Communications and Works. And he provided transportation to get the people to move their things. And they gave them a settlement up at that place up there where you have the close to the
Gota
college up there.
Mm-hmm. Gota area?
Yes, Gota area, close to the college, and settle them there. As well as the people who were, remember where they have this place, the Red Cross.
Mm-hmm.
Remember there too was a little area with houses and like a little, they town too, and they moved those and settled them nicely. And then the Wasco was able to build this nice plant that they have in that area and so forth. And I don't know yet, I haven't found out what is the output and what are they doing there. I know they're doing some treatment and they're doing some testing there. But as Jeff said, we could go further than that and so forth. So we have to look into our utility companies and see how well they serve the consumer and that the Wasco in particular and the minister responsible must see how they could negotiate in the region to see if we could sell our water in there. I remember the Freedom Party brought in water on the port as well as on the cruise ship boat, straight from some loader area, so we could supply the boats, the tourist boat in particular, and others with fresh water when they come in. I don't know if that is still being used because I'm not hearing anything about that and so forth. But we just have to do things to bring in income into the country so that our people can have work, our people can be released from all these high prices. Matt. So Michael, I commend you on this, and Matt, thank you a lot for bringing Michael this afternoon because it's an eye-opener to many persons who are themselves feeling the pressure. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Huh? Yes, you're saying?
The cruise ship used to buy water from that facility.
Is that pipe still available?
Well, the pipe is still available, but because of the chemicals used in
transporting
the water from Weri and the tributaries around Weri River through the freshwater lake, it is creosol, and there were residuals in the water, so the cruise ships could not buy it. But I'm sure the Wasco, if the cruise ships are interested, he could find another source like Mount Daniel, which comes from Mount Daniel has a large tank there, which comes from the original source in Antrim. Okay, so there are things that can be there, but the most lucrative thing for the Wasco is what Jeff mentioned, and they should consider it. And I would recommend to the management there, because they need to look at that constructively and have a joint venture with Jeff and the Wasco so that it will bring an added, and then it will save us from importing soil. Matt, I bought some soil imported for pots, and without planting nothing, things growing in it. So what plant is that plant detrimental to our environment? So we have to stop that.
Your ecosystem.
Yes. So I mean, I'm not sure that the soils coming into Dominica are sterilized to kill seeds in it. Okay, but I know I didn't plant anything, and another one, then I saw like worms coming out in it without planting anything. So you have those things. And Jeff's recommendation to convert it to natural fertilizer would be an added income for Domlec at a lower cost to the farmers. Also, the solid waste disposal. Matt, I'm very concerned about the solid waste disposal because I hear they want to charge us money. Matt, I understand, and I would like maybe if Baptist is still listening, check the estimates to check how many millions of dollars that the Wasco the government works for the environmental surcharge. I think it's in the 20 million plus. Yet the solid waste people are not getting that money. How you can go to Parliament, Matt, to get money for solid waste by charging people for things coming into Dominica? You pay 2.5% or 3.5%. Or 1.5%. I forget what the figure is. You make 3 times the money that solid waste needs. And solid waste they don't have trucks. They don't have facilities. They don't have training for their staff. They have a problem with the heavy equipment. But that cannot be. We cannot be paying for something and the government is using it to do something else. That's against the law. You cannot go to Parliament and lie. When you go to Parliament and lie, you're supposed to be censured about. I mean, the Prime Minister went to Parliament and he said he wants how many millions of dollars for election, and he didn't do it. And not one of the opposition parliamentarians took him up for lying. He lied to the people that he's going to have electoral reform before the next general election. He spent the money he's paid by Iran. And he called 2 elections and He should be censured for lying in Parliament because you don't go and lie to the people.
But don't you have privileges there?
No privileges, Matt. If you lie in Parliament, he lied that he paid a friend of mine $700,000, Gildan Richards. And he told the leader of the opposition, you see, you say we don't pay your members and your supporters, but look, we have that they're paying. You understand? So I met the man by Cheyenne and I told him, hey, drinks on you tonight. I got the drinks, but up now you haven't get paid. You understand? So these are the kind of things that happen. You don't go to Parliament and lie and tell the people you paid a member of the opposition. And that is not true. And up to now, he hasn't gotten his money. And that is, they need to take him up. From what I understand, if I take you up for lying in Parliament, when it comes to the vote, I may not get it. But the point is, the Hansard will show that we know you were lying.
Let's take a voice note at this time. Yes.
But Mark, isn't there a private sector now? Isn't there a DAIC? What are they saying now? What are the big businesses? They're just lying down and accept that foolishness. I mean, isn't there other people that need to speak about that and speak loudly about that? Not only the ordinary man on the street. So if the private sector and the hotel, the Dominic Hotel and Tourism Association, all the hotels, and all the other private sector businesses in Dominica, the restaurants are accepting that increase. They're saying it's all right. I mean, I don't understand what is happening in this country, bro.
You're making a very good point there, caller. I mean, has the private sector gone silent? Is there a DAIC in Dominica? Do they speak to these issues? Let's be frank here.
That when I was on DIC,
yes,
remember I challenged Cable and Wireless, and I managed to get, and I challenged them and put them under pressure until AT&T came in to Dominica, because there was ECTEL formed, and thanks to people like Norris Prevost, who in St. Lucia, the ECTEL thing was one of the things that
came out of the result.
Came out of the result of people like that, people who understand what is going on. Because I challenged Cable and Wireless on several counts. They were board members of the Chamber of Commerce, so I had to tread very carefully.
Right.
But I had to tell him in no uncertain terms that Cable and Wireless, that's the only thing that was more profitable than Cable and Wireless was drugs and prostitution. Because Cable and Wireless, a telephone man.
You think it's the same today?
A telephone used to make a profit in Dominica at the time, if I recall, of over $100, $300 a day. The amount of money that Cable and Wireless was making, when you divide it by the tele density, that is the number of people with phones.
Wow.
Okay? And in England, when you divide their profit from the tele density, you get in a few cents, in the 50 cents, not $1. But in Dominica, it was $300 and something. And I brought that issue to the people. I was in Jamaica, I was in Barbados.
But do you think the same is existing today, though?
No, because there's competition now. And there's ECTEL, which is the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications regulatory person. But Matt, I went to the, I think there's a Bridge Street talk every now and then. And I was invited to talk on telecoms there. And there were 3 people to talk, including the manager of Cable and Wireless in Barbados, Bartel. He sat down there, and then people wanted me to continue because they were giving each of us 20 minutes. And Cable and Wireless, gave me, while Roberts was giving me trouble in Dominica, the manager of Bartel gave me his time because he said, I am saying things he wanted to say. You understand? He didn't say so to the people, but he told me so privately. Because I was totally against the kind of profits they were making. Matt, they were giving to Cricket West Indies, $6 billion US, and they thought they were giving them money. And I showed the heads that is equivalent to less than 1 week profit.
They were milking the Caribbean, boy.
Oh, yes. There was one piece of equipment that they bought, refurbished for $40,000. It was sold to one country for almost $500,000. It was sold back to Cable and Wireless, So, Matt, if I get something for $40,000 and I sell it to Jamaica for $500,000, then it becomes too small for Jamaica. So Barbados have a smaller population. I'm going to sell it to Barbados. So I sell it back to Cable and Wireless West Indies Limited in Cayman Island at $25. So if they bought it for $500,000, there's a loss, and they claim that loss, so they don't pay taxes, man. And then they redo it and sell it to Barbados for twice the price. And that's what they were doing. So we had that kind of behavior, what they call gold plating in the industry. And we, as a people, we're too complacent. The Wasco cannot treat us like that. They have to stop the access fund and do it properly.
And we have to stand.
And we have to take a stand.
Let's take a voice note here.
Matt, the reason why we're seeing a lot of these things happening, Matt, is because we do not have regulators, Matt. Where there is no regulators to regulate the industry, to protect the interests of consumers and to protect consumers from being robbed, this is what happens. There is no regulators regulating our water industry, our electricity, our utility industry. There is no competition. That's what happens, Matt. A lot of these private sectors, you're not hearing from them, Matt, because a lot of them are affiliated with the government. They are cited, they get favored by the government, so they do not speak, Matt. This is how Dominica is. If you get anything from the government, you do not say anything. A lot of these private sectors and businesses, a lot of them are in call with the government, and they do not dare speak. And this is what we are seeing. So the people has no voice.
Important point there?
Can I tell you something?
You can tell me something.
I know of several persons who were president, including a cousin of the DIC, that were selling passports, and they may be still selling passports. And they were on this radio station when Sam Raphael said, basically it's not our business how many passports they sell, because it's not our money buying the passports. And I found that very, very disrespectful to the people.
At the time, wasn't the DIC board.
No, he was not on the DIC board. No, I'm talking about persons who were involved in passport sales.
Okay.
So I think, past presidents, okay, were involved, and they were discussing it.
So conflict of interest then.
Remember Dave Bruni was on IPO? Didn't Tony take him out because he said something about Roosevelt Skerritt, which insinuated that he wanted to jail Roosevelt Skerritt? The IPO cannot jail nobody. All they can do is investigate the matter, and if there's enough evidence to show corruption, then they pass it to the DPP. Okay? That was the situation with the IPO. But you have people who making millions of dollars on the Electoral Commission, Matt. Have you heard Duncan Stowe tell the Prime Minister he should not interfere because section whatever of the act says that he cannot interfere? He wouldn't say that. Lennox Lawrence wouldn't say it. Alec Lawrence wouldn't say it. Why? And that is the nature. We have no idea of conflict of interest. It's a crime. It's criminal. If you are on a board, Matt, like the Prime Minister said, give it to Labour Party. If you are on a board member of an organization and you have interests or family-related matter,
you have to step out.
You have to step out. You cannot make a decision. I'll give you an example. If you look at the Public Utilities Commission, who used to regulate electricity, water, and thing. Now only water fall under them. But the minister failed to appoint members to the commission, to the Utilities Commission. So nobody is regulating the Wasco. Okay? So this is a serious situation. Okay, and we accepting that. We don't know what is going on. We don't know that you know that the prime minister gave himself a raise. Where you ever hear I employ you and you're giving yourself a raise, Matt? Everywhere that ministers get raised, they set up a commission to look at their costs, what are their entertainment, because they're representing the people. And you give yourself a 30% and without feeling, Matt, boy, I not giving the workers 5%, and I taking 30% and 50%. What sort of criminal am I to do that? I don't want to give the messenger, the junior clerk and whatnot a 5% or 3%. Yet I taking 30% and my superior taking. How you can sit in cabinet and vote for that man? Vote to pay you money. People don't understand the lines they're crossing in being dishonest. It's total dishonesty to go and give yourself a raise of 40%. Nobody gives a raise of 40%. They might give you a bonus of 40%. But a raise of 40% on taxpayers? And we sit down and accept it, man.
I will sit and accept it.
The police not getting raised, yet the same person who taking the 30 and 60% raise, if I go outside of the Wasco and demonstrate, they will want to harass me. But I think we need to have a demonstration on the Wasco, man. And that is where we will end. We will go to outside of the Wasco and ask them, because there are ways and means of implementing an access charge, just like we implemented in 2003 the levy. We paid it for 5 years. We paid all the debt Dominica had. Instead of just going and tax people, we decided to tax wages X%.
We made a sacrifice
for that. That was something myself, may soul rest in peace, Curtis Augustus, and members of the labor union, all labor unions were involved. Okay, came up with. We agreed and we took it to the Pierre Charles, and it was accepted in Parliament. Okay, and that worked beautiful. So if the Wasco mismanage the company and they have a debt they cannot pay, let us look at an access charge, a percentage that will assist them in meeting the shortfall in paying their loan, and a small increase in the rates so that they can meet their day-to-day expenses. But you can't just come up with an indiscriminate figure not based on anything, Matt. It must be based on consumption. They don't have the capacity to understand that you can kill a small business or micro business. Just that fee they're charging there. You never see somebody have to buy $200 worth of oil. They have a lot of customers there. And you take their $200 and they don't have that money to buy the oil this week or next week. They have to quit it. The next thing they can't pay to get the next one. This is the reality on the ground, man. That's the reality. And nobody's thinking of that. I don't have to be here, man. I'm retired, you know.
So some people are laying and playing dead, like nothing is going on.
But young people need to understand that there are ways and means of, and they have rights, and they have civic responsibility, and they must take it. It's not only CO, man. It's not only CO. Because at the end of the day, their parents will suffer. We taking life too lightly. And I'm appealing to the Wasco. If I don't hear from them, I will arrange to come and see them. But I will not be coming alone. Everybody who have a problem, I will ask them to meet me there. Because this is nonsense. It is nonsense.
How soon you plan to do that, Michael?
Matt,
that's a serious move.
Matt, yesterday we should have done that. Okay? So people If I call Matt and tell Matt, look, police harassing me by the Wasco, just come down and we'll deal with that. Okay? Matt, if I alone can go there. I started a demonstration outside of DBS in 2009 alone, you know. I went to pay a check for advertisement for Freedom Party. And Cecil sent me to Mayor Soul Rest in Peace, Sherman Greenbrown acting because Marriott wasn't there for return. And Sherman is telling me she under control, memorandum, and you're not supposed to take advertising. I tell her no. After talking about half an hour, call the chairman, and the chairman telling me the Labour Party this and that and the other. I'm here in the advertising and promoting activities of Labour Party on it. And I go and demonstrate. Curtis telling me why I wasted my time. When I started there, me alone, you know. Somebody was passing in a car, asked me what they're doing. I brought my pickup with my music system on it. And the person stopped asking me questions. They called police. When 10 police come there, that's when people started stopping. Freedom Party knew I was there. The executive came there. And that's how people came there. But because I don't take nonsense from anybody.
So you're saying that might be a repeat at the Wasco if they don't answer?
Maybe bigger than that. Because I went to see the man, I sat down with him. I delivered letters to the chairman, to the minister, to the PS. I spoke to the PS. What you're doing is wrong. It's illegal. You cannot just ride roughshod over people like that, man. They have to do things properly. Nobody's saying that the Wasco, if the Wasco can show us they're doing wrong and they have mismanaged and they need to correct it, then it's our responsibility to work with them to do that. But you cannot mismanage the company, not give an account, and just charge us and you're not telling us anything and we're writing you and you're just ignoring us. I mean, that cannot happen, man. This is absolute wrong.
Michael Asafan, I'm sure we'll be hearing from you again. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Come back sometime. Yeah, Michael will be standing soon, huh? I hope you join him and stand with him to challenge the recent rates of the Wasco.
In a crystal ball, I see politicians playing the ball. Playing the ball. Playing the ball. They're playing the ball. Playing the ball.
It's time for Flow Dominica. See you tomorrow, Wednesday.
Free smartphone. Switch and keep your number. Learn more at discoverflow.co.
How we live? Hybrid life. Living in the hybrid life. We live hybrid life. Living in the hybrid life. It's not about time we now watch phone bill. That's with the contract is a sure thing. How with the new flow plan name? If you don't know about it, then they better slide in. How we live? Hybrid life. Living in the hybrid life. We live hybrid life. Living in the hybrid life. In the hybrid life. Living in the hybrid life. We live hybrid life.
With Flow's new hybrid plan, postpaid and prepaid come together as one, with no overages, no contract, no deposit, and no catch.
Hybrid!
Bundle up now and get 30 gigabytes of data and unlimited phone calls for only $55 per month, plus a discounted smartphone.
You see the new phone plan that Flow made? You could turn postpaid to prepaid.
Hurricane season can be unpredictable, but your business doesn't have to be. In the face of adversity, you need a partner that goes above and beyond. Choose the path of resilience and certainty with C&W Business. Through disaster recovery as a strategy solution, C&W Business will safeguard your critical data, maintain seamless communication channels, and help you bounce back faster than ever before. Visit our website, cwcbusiness.com/myopenbusiness to learn more. Remember, a safe business is an open business.
Rosso, you are now fiber ready. Enjoy faster speeds and bigger savings on Dominica's most reliable network. Sign up now or upgrade to a Flow Fiber internet package and get 1 month free internet service. Add a postpaid mobile to your package and save 50% off your mobile bill every month. Plus, get a smartphone absolutely free. Rosso, are you ready for the Flow Fiber fast internet experience? To feel speed, visit the Flow flagship store or call 440-3569 for more information.
When a stroke occurs, you have 60 minutes to win or lose the race of your life. There are new treatments, but you must get to the hospital fast. If you suddenly feel weakness on one side or have trouble speaking, walking, or seeing, it could be a stroke. Call 911 or 999. Get to the hospital because how you spend the next 60 minutes could determine how you spend the rest of your life. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. A message from the Reasta Foundation in partnership with Flo Dominica.
Roots Rock Bar and Grill presents Recognized Wednesday each and every Wednesday, featuring selector urban and special guest DJs, 9 p.m. till very late, featuring specials. Roots Rock Bar and Grill in Tata. See you there.
When I reach any party, everybody don't know. Oh, oh, oh. If you think I'm crazy, it's the music that got me so. Oh, oh. When my party people, throw your hands in the sky. I. Come, my friends, I need you. It's time to raise the vibe with your hands in the air. Hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air. This is how we flow. Yeah, flow is love. Yeah. Hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air. This is how we flow. Yeah. Grab somebody and tell them. Your happiness where we connect. Smile and cheer because it's we flow. Grab somebody and tell them hello. Grab somebody and hold them there. Jam with each other. Grab somebody and hold them there. Jam with each other. Hold them close, don't go nowhere. Hold them close, don't go nowhere. Independent ladies, step to the front. Oh, oh, oh. Fellas, are you ready? Step to the front. Oh, oh, oh. When my party people, put your hands in the sky. I. Come, my friends, I need you. It's time to raise the vibe with your hands in the air. Hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air. This is how we flow. Yeah, flow is love. Yeah. Hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air. This is how we flow. Yeah. Grab somebody and tell them hello. Your happiness where we connect. Smile and cheer because it's we flow. Grab somebody and tell them hello. Grab somebody and hold them there. Jam with each other. Grab somebody and hold them there. Jam with each other. Hold them close, don't go nowhere. Hold them close, don't go nowhere. With your hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air. This is how we flow. Yeah, flow is love. Yeah, hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air, hands in the air. This is how we flow. Yeah, grab somebody and tell them hello. Your happiness where we connect. Smile and cheer because it's we flow. Grab somebody and tell them hello. Grab somebody and hold them there. Jam with each other. Grab somebody and hold them there. Jam with each other. Hold them close, don't go nowhere. Hold them close, don't go nowhere.
Hello, welcome to Flow.
Like we always do with this time. Go for mine, I got to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky. Go for mine, I got to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky.
Hey. CLG won't even get pulled over if they new feed. The good life, let's go on a living spree. They say the best things in life are free. The good life, it feel like Atlanta, it feel like LA, it feel like Miami, it feel like NY. Summertime shy. So I roll the good, y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood. If you got the good, if you got that, I got the hood. Sorry. It's got to be, cause I'm seasoned. Haters give me them salty looks. Sorry. So go ahead, switch the style up. And if they hate the style, they can watch the money style.